Good afternoon to you. I'm Kendall Tyson with Aspire Counseling and Wellness Center. Still here in Texas, but getting ready to return to Beijing, China in less than a week. Oh my goodness. So, as you know, I am not only a licensed therapist, I'm also a professional school counselor, and this is going to be very much geared toward educators, therapists that might be working with adolescents, parents, and teachers that are working with adolescents on a daily basis. If you didn't know, October is National Bullying Prevention Awareness Month. And if you've worked in Texas, or I imagine other states in the union, you would know that bullying has become a big issue to contend with that has lots of outcomes that can reverberate throughout a school culture, right? So I kind of wanted to just offer some insight on, what is bullying, especially in the sense when it comes to Texas, what can be some of the behaviors that you see, what can be some of the outcomes mental health wise that you may notice in our students, and what are some ways in which we can provide the assistance that they need. So I'm going to read verbatim the definition. Texas is special. The definition of bullying from Texas, and it states that means a single significant act or a pattern of acts by one or more students directed at another student that exploits an imbalance of power. That's really important, and involves engaging in written or verbal expressions through electronic means or physical conduct. And so what that means is, from the Texas standpoint, bullying can be one single act that exploits an imbalance of power. So someone having power over another one person making another person feel smaller or powerless, hopeless, or an ongoing pattern of behavior. And we know we see this all the time. I would state that bullying is different from like your normal teasing or whatnot. But, when I think about it, our perception is not that of students. We see things from an outside perspective. So a student can consider one incident to be an incident of bullying. And I, as a therapist, as a professional school counselor, always say to urge, err on the side of caution. Whether someone has expressed feelings of being bullied or not, it's important for us as the helping professionals in the building to offer support not only to the student that is being bullied, right, or that's being maligned in some way, but also to the perpetrators of said violence. It's important to understand that there can be a spectrum. Like one person bullied can also cause that person to become a bully or someone that inflicts harm and pain on another person. And for a variety of reasons, this can happen. So when we think about our students that are likely, it's not what we would call, it's more of a generalization, but it can be different, obviously, that are likely to be bullied. They're likely to experience, forms of depression, feelings of depression and anxiety, not wanting to come to school refusal, not wanting to walk down certain, parts of the school by themselves, not wanting to be in a specific class, not wanting to participate in a group with specific people, teachers. We are keen on noticing changes in patterns and behavior. So please pay attention to these things when they do arise. Even if you get that little spidey sense, it might be something that you want to address directly or address class-wise when it comes to appropriate behavior, or seek out the assistance of the counselors in your campus or other administrators. So they could also experience increased feelings of sadness, loneliness, hopelessness, especially if it's been a persistent pattern of behavior that they haven't been able to seek any respite from or help with. They can experience changes in sleep patterns, eating patterns, especially behavior. You'll notice it in their behavior. Loss of interest in the activities that they once found interest in, which these are classic symptoms of depression and anxiety. And unfortunately, if we have students that continue to experience bullying behaviors persistent without seeking assistance or finding some relief from them, these types of, emotions, behaviors, feelings can persist into their adulthood. I know that we all know someone that still clings to how they may have been treated in high school, and that can really affect the relationships that they form, how they bond with others or not. I can recall specific instances of when I think about the definition now, it was most certainly bullying back then, but I would say that I didn't have the type of support that we have now when it comes to supportive administration, um, supportive teachers by the way of having someone to reach out to, that outlet. Of course, I have my parents, and that's always a protective factor, but we really just have to be cognizant of things that are happening. This might be very different now that we are in a majority online or hybrid type of teaching setting, but that doesn't mean it's not occurring. And one thing I want to say is to make sure, as the educator, that you are not the bully. There's a really good poem out there. I think it's called The Bully. So if you've not read that, I encourage you to read that. It's very insightful. Some other things that kids who are bullied can experience are obviously decreases in academic performance, withdrawal from school. Their GPAs and things like that can decrease. They don't want to participate in the sports that they once did, that they found enjoyment in. Missing school, skipping school, dropping out of school. I can't remember who said it, but all behavior is purposeful. So if you notice that the behavior changes, there's an antecedent behind that change. And it's up to us to do our best to identify and help support, ameliorate, and offer ways in which to best cope with what's happening or exterminate a particular behavior. So not only are there challenges for students that are bullied, there are also issues with students that are the potential bully. So kids who engage in violent behavior, risky behaviors, bullying behaviors, when they get older, it can lead to alcohol abuse, drug abuse, other adolescent risky behaviors, getting into fights, vandalizing property, dropping out of school. And again, these are generalizations, not specific to anyone. Engaging in early sexual activity, having potential criminal convictions. I live in Huntsville, so I'll let that be said. And can lead to abusive behaviors, especially if they aren't provided the same level of support to identify the root cause of why they behave the way that they do. What environment have they grown up in? Which again, we don't have responsibility for the environment that they've grown up in, but we have a lot of control and ways of supporting them when they are with us for the 8 or 9 hours that they are with us throughout the day. Research states that having a supportive mentor, teacher, adult in your life can be a protective factor against so many negative outcomes. And we definitely are charged with that. Even if we're in an online setting, that shouldn't stop us from lending that help, that support to our students that are most in need. We're all trying to stay above water right now, honestly. So not only do we talk about the students that are bullied, the students that are perpetrators of the bullying, but there's also worry for our students that we call bystanders, or the witnesses of the bullying. And this could lead again to, social withdrawal. This could lead to isolating behaviors. But it could lead to mental health challenges, depression and anxiety, missing or skipping school. And I've worked with lots of students that want to speak up. They want to be supportive. They want to tell, but they're so afraid of being retaliated against. They don't want to then become the ire of the bully, of the bully. They don't want to then become the new target. And I get that. I truly understand it. But at this day and age, we have to be courageous, and we have to create school cultures that are supportive of them taking the risk to speak up, and that we give them that cushion to be able to come and share their experience without fear of retaliation. I've seen a lot of times where we haven't taken these issues seriously, and they've resulted in people being harmed. And that's definitely not what we want at our schools. Our schools are supposed to be safe havens where kids come to be educated, where they come to learn better socialization, to grow socially, emotionally, academically, and really just develop into as productive of citizens as they possibly can. We should be agents of positive change, not negative change. A lot of times, also, the media likes to report like there's a link between bullying and suicide. But in all honesty, most youth that are bullied don't have thoughts of suicide or engage in suicidal behaviors. There are other factors that influence suicidal ideation and suicide behaviors, trauma, history of mental illness, suicide contagion, knowing someone that may have died by suicide or attempted suicide. So I just wanted to make sure to throw that out there. I'm not going to say too much more. This is just something that I wanted to share. I got a lot of the information off of stopbully.gov, great resource for our schools. We should be speaking about this, even if we're in an online setting, because cyberbullying is very much a way that our students get at each other. And a lot of times with the relational bullying and cyberbullying, you see a lot of young ladies that that engage in that behavior, the isolation, they tend to create fake accounts just so they can bully people. Or it's interesting, to say the least. Kids are quite creative and ingenious, and we want to make sure that we give them outlets to be creative in a positive sense, in a way that's going to help them help others and improve, the world that we live in. So if you are a professional school counselor, if you are a therapist working with adolescents, if you are a parent of adolescents, this conversation is not too early to be had. It should be had early. It should be had often. Be honest. Make sure we listen to what our children are saying, because one of the biggest complaints that I get is that nobody cares, nobody listens, and nothing's going to change. So let's be agents of positive change. Let's give them they have a voice. Let's listen to their voice, right? Again, if you are in need of someone to work with your adolescent, or you as a parent, I'm available. You can reach me on my Facebook page, Aspire Counseling and Wellness Center. You can find me on Instagram at Aspire Counseling Well. I have my own website, aspirecounselingwell.com. You can send me an email at contact@aspirecounselingwell.com. I am here to support you and your adolescent. As you all, traverse this thing called adolescence and life. And I hope that with this new fall weather, that you are not only engaging in physically distant behavior, but staying socially connected, that you are making sure that you are paying attention to your child's social and emotional health and your own social and emotional health. We're living in some very trying times, but trying doesn't mean impossible. And making sure that we are healthy emotionally, physically, spiritually is extremely important, so that we can continue to make the best, have the best outcomes as possible. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm Kendall Tyson. I look forward to working with you if you're interested, and I hope that everyone has a great Friday. And as I always say, make sure you prioritize your mental health today. And on this October, I think it's October the 2nd, reset your mindset. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.